Right, sliders. Um, the last 3-4 days, actually a week. I'm spending a lot of time on sliders. The one that I was using, I found out a bug, um, and I needed to find a new one. And then I discovered many things. But before I start, let me say that a slider, in most cases, especially when the design is open, like this one, it's not closed like most of the cookie site websites are, like what JS templates generates, where there's a big header and a closed one. The slider should be only on the home page. Otherwise, you're wasting a lot of valuable space for nothing. Um, in the earlier days, a slider was only just to show a picture, but it's a known practice now that besides the picture, it also uh, is used to display text, and also is used to navigate. So you can put links to the slides to take you to another page or another website or whatever. So the problem with this particular slider is called responsive slider, and automatically it doesn't have. I really like this one because it didn't have a container around it, a div around it, so it would inherit my shadows from my uh, image class shadows that I have, so I don't have to do anything. In terms of responsiveness, it's very good. But the real problem was when I click on the slide, whether I had a URL or not, it would take me back to uh, the information, the custom uh, uh, post data for that particular slide. So uh, that wasn't good enough for me. So unless they fix it, which is a free plugin, so you can't really complain, I can't really use this. But this was my favorite, and for about 6 months for my tests, I was using this until I discovered this problem. So just to show you the backside really quickly, you go to settings first of all. It's pretty simple. You set up your settings. Um, it's very basic, and you go to your slides, and let me edit one over here. So the title of the slide will go as the text. You put the URL, so when you click on the text, it will take you there, and you put the featured image, and it goes there. Now, many sliders, especially the professional ones, the premium ones that you have to buy, you can set them up so you can set up the slides manually, or you can set up a category post. So let's say you can set up a category uh, called slider, and any of your posts that you set up under that category will automatically populate the sliders. Or you can have news, so you don't have to deal with the with populating the slider. All you have to do, create a post, categorize it under news or whatever category you choose. The link post, the title is going to be the title of the um, slider. The excerpt is going to be the text of the slider, and the featured image, whatever feature image you put, that's going to be the image for the slider. So as you create new posts in that particular category, your slider will automatically uh, change the content. Alright, so that much for the responsive slider. Then, before that, let me say that as far as WordPress goes, there are over 600 sliders available for free at their site. Most of them are junk. Most of them are duplicates, most of them are old, they don't work, and most of them are non-responsive, so non-usable as far as I'm concerned. I found 5 or 6 of them that are okay, um, but uh, I think I'm leaning towards Nevo because it's simple, it's fast, it's nice, it's responsive, um, and doesn't have all the bells and whistles that the Revolution slider has. And I'll talk about the Revolution slider in a minute, but it will do the job. So last week, this particular plugin slider was released, and it's a free one again, and I forgot the name, so that's what I'm gonna get right now. Um, Let me see. It's called Vertical Tap Slider. Okay, this was in terms of practicality, and I added the shadows just like the responsive slider you've seen before. But as far as um, features go, as far as practicality, and this is by far my favorite, because besides showing an image, you can also show a lot of information. Um, the two drawbacks is that you have to set those tabs manually, just like with the responsive slider before. So you cannot set up to pick up the content from your posts automatically, but that's not a big deal. Um, the problem that I have with this that this slider is not responsive. I wrote to the developer, and he promised me that as soon as possible they're gonna make it responsive. It's a free plugin, so uh, you can't really make demands. You can make suggestions. They were very nice about it, and they said they know that they're gonna try to make it responsive. But this is so nice that I really like it that in 1 or 2 of my themes I'm gonna be using this. And the way I'm gonna use it is, if it's not responsive in a responsive template, what do? You do media queries, and in the responsive use, you don't use it. I don't know if there are any jQuery sliders similar to this, especially if you can find responsive ones. But this I really like. Alright, the next one that I found, I like this a lot too, but it's got its own problems as well with the responsive. Um, this particular one, in the general settings, you can set up your social media buttons that come up over here. Then you can have up to 3 captions. Again, it doesn't do posts, so you can't automatically populate them, but it's got a button. Now the problem with this, and it's got a nice shadow, which I really like, so I don't have to deal with the shadows or anything else. The problem with this is because it's got 3 lines of text over here. Then you have the social buttons, and then the read more. Whatever width of whatever height of the slider you put, that's going to be permanent. It's not going to resize nicely like the uh, the responsive slider that you saw before, or even the Nevo slider, which we're going to talk about in a second. So when the screen gets smaller, the image squishes and goes out of proportion because the height stays the same, but the vertical the width it's going to get smaller and smaller. So on a phone, this particular image is going to look really bad. On a tablet, on a portrait tablet, it's going to look bad too, but not as bad as a phone. So again, just like the vertical tab slider, um, I'm gonna use it in 1 or 2 templates because I really like it. Um, but when it comes to the responsive use, a simple media query, and get rid of it. Don't use it. So use it only for PCs, big computers. All right. So for most of my themes, I came out to two um, sliders that I'm going to use. One is Nevo, which is absolutely free for the jQuery. So if you when you're going to use it for QuickerSite, Nevo is absolutely free. If you can find the actual slider, let me know. I'll download it for you. And there are the actual company's got an official Nevo slider plugin for WordPress, which does pretty much everything. You can set the sliders manually, or you can set up through a post. I can configure how to put some sort of a shadow uh, to the slider to make it 3D. And it costs $99 for a development version of that plugin. Developer version means I can put it into my themes. I can use it in unlimited websites. Otherwise, it's $20 per website if you're going to get the one site license. So for $99 to use that slider for all of my themes, it's not bad. The second one was Revolution Slider. I don't know if they have a jQuery plugin. I'm sure they do. So the Revolution Slider, it's you can have layers, and by layers mean you have the object similar to this. This has layers, but you can't control the layers. Those are the layers come in automatically. So you can set up the layers, the timing, how they're gonna come in, and everything else. Um, and it has Ken Burns. That means the image. It's not going to be static, just like Wife Slider has it. It's going to be moving, so that adds a nice effect to it, as if it's a video behind it. You can add videos, YouTube videos, or manually you can put your MP4 videos in the slide. But the problem with the Revolution Slider is that they sell it through Code Canyon, which is the same company that owns ThemeForest and Vato. That's the name of the company. And it's, I believe, $20 per website. Or if you're going to get the extended license, they don't have a developer license. They have an extended license, which is $99, which allows you to use it in one product. So I have about 13 themes right now. So if I'm going to use that particular slider in all of my themes, it's going to be $99 times 13. So it's going to be $1,300 almost, as opposed to $99 for Nevo. So for the time being, I believe I'm going to go with a Nevo. This is, again, just like the vertical slider, something I'm going to be using in probably just one or two of the themes that I'm making. So let me jump over to the Nevo slider really quickly. I'm gonna have it in my second server. Give me a second. I'm trying to make this as fast as possible. Manchester United is about to start, so alright, Nevo. Now a lot of things are changing in the themes world as well. Even a year or 2 years ago, even a year ago, in the free themes you would find at the WordPress theme depository, you wouldn't find themes, free ones with sliders. This I downloaded 2 days ago, and it's got a Nevo slider built in. It's responsive. Another thing you couldn't find until a few months ago, you couldn't find a responsive theme for free. for WordPress. Those were for the premium ones. Um, and it's minimalistic, it's open, and that's the trend. Um, and it's got a nice effect that I'm gonna see how they're doing it. Obviously, it's a CSS trick. Uh, I'm gonna copy it because it's nice. And so things are changing that even the free themes now, they're putting sliders in. They are making them responsive and making nice. So uh, I don't only have to compete with the theme forest and the elegant themes of the worlds out there that they're in the ahead of me by years. And they have thousands of customers. But how do you convince a person that my themes are better as opposed to a theme like this, which is absolutely free? And not only it's free, it's got a copyleft license. That means I can make changes to these codes. I can sell it. I can improve it. I can do whatever I want. Except when I make changes and sell it, I can't tell the person I'm selling it to, you cannot sell it. He's going to have the same copyleft licenses that I'm having. So he can improve the product. He can make changes to it and sell it himself, or sell it the way it is. But this is a free theme, believe it or not. Anyways, so this is the Nevo slider, one of the free plugins that I found in there. But I'm not going to use this plugin for many reasons. I made some changes just to see if I can configure um, uh, the Nevo sliders, as manipulate them as I want, and I found the real problem that I had, and it phased me for a few minutes, was that unlike most of the other sliders, it's got a container div around it. So when it comes to adding the shadow, um, you have to deal with it. Just putting a shadow on the image didn't do the trick. And I'm going to show you a new tool that I have. So when it comes to sliders or common things that QuickerSat uses with um, WordPress, I can use this tool to get the results. I'm going to show you how I learned the CSS and media queries and stuff like that. There's a let me reset this. Let me show you. So all my CSS went away. So the shadow went away. It's a flat slideshow now. The dots are below. There's more space. I had to move them up. So there's a plugin called Microthemer, and basically a Microthemer will allow you to change the CSS settings of any WordPress theme, any theme. And it's very nice. It's very easy to use. So I've got some blank templates, and let me overwrite that. I've got one for Artisteer templates, and I've got one for WooCommerce. I'm not going to overwrite. I'm going to merge. So right now I've got all the blank templates, and I'll explain right now what I mean. And I mix them together. I've got the Artisteer and WooCommerce put together. So we have the sections, and the sections are strictly for organizing your CSS. Yeah, just for organizing yourself, so you know which CSS code will go where, so you can you can find things easier. So in the header, there are 8 selectors. So you have the header, the site title link, blah blah blah. Now there are a lot of selectors that it's not here, and you can uh, create new selectors very easily. So when it comes to the header, in all of the selectors, you can modify the selector, and this is what the selector is. You can deal with the font, and you can do per device, so it's going to do the media queries for you automatically. You have text, you have the color, background, dimensions, padding, border, behavior, position, and then some CSS 3. For example, you have gradients, you have corner radiuses, and then shadows you can add, and so on and so forth. So I use this to control not only my okay, what's going on here? Let me go to the dashboard. Okay, here we go. So I can do things in visual way. Okay, so that's the body. Let me go to content. So I've got a few buttons over here. This is whatever I'm choosing. This is the section. I'm doing things visually now, and this is the selector for the visual. Okay, so let me go to the header really quickly, and this is going to show what changes you're going to make. So right now, see, it turned change the color, so it's indicating that whatever I'm going to do, I'm going to make changes to the header. And if I want to modify the selector, I can click on that and manually change the selector, and then I can go to edit styles and do my changes. So really quickly, let me create, just to be a little bit more organized, let me create a section called Nivo, and I don't have any selectors done, so all I have to do is double click, and it's going to select whatever I double clicked. And now I've got to choose the selector. So from the top, you're going to have the broader selector for whatever I double click, and as I go down, it's going to the targeting is going to be more specific. So you want to so it's going to be up to you how do you want to choose that selector to be. So let me choose the broad one. So because if I choose this one, it's going to be for the meta slider number 10. So if I add another slider, it's not going to work, whatever I'm trying to do. So let me use something generic. So let me choose that one. I need to put a label, so let me put Nivo dots. Add it. So this button again is going to show me what I'm changing. So if I go to styles, I can say, let's do some tense. I can say display none when I save it. It went away, as you can see. If I want to see the command all the way at the bottom, that's my Nivo. That's the command over there. So I can copy and paste this code into my CSS file and make it permanent. I can move it around, and I can do lots of things. So I can say position, relative. Let's move it from the bottom. Let's say 15 pixels. Save. There it is. Okay. So this is the software that I used, the plugin that I used to learn CSS and to do a lot of the things. that will take a lot of time um, for someone to manually do. So let me jump again into my micro themer. I saved what I did last night. Probably these settings are going to also apply to the Nevo slider for quicker sight, um, unless the classes are different. So I'm not going to override. I need to merge this, import the settings, and I need to go to what I did. Yeah, find it. There you go. I'm going to delete the Nevo that I created. Alright. So this is what I did. I moved the selectors up. I changed the dimension of the bottom part of the slider, because the slider container, it's not up to here, it's not up to the image, it actually would come over here, and when I put in shadow around it, the shadow would be down here, not around the image, so I change it. So this is what I have, and I'm pretty happy with it. It's responding pretty well, and to see the actual data, the settings, let me go with view CSS first of all. There you go, it's over here. So this is the controller. This is actually what's happening. I don't know why the Nevo is still showing up. Okay, you know something? I didn't save it, that's why. Okay, let me reset the whole thing. Let me just get the Nevo. Override it. Import settings. Alright. Okay. It's working. Now let me go to micro themer, and now let's say view CSS. There you go. So basically I changed the controls. I put I make it to go top 40 and change the Z index to something larger, and this was because before I was putting it inside the image, and the second image had the actual images that had a higher Z index value. Then this is for the actual container for the Nevo slider. I can see that in your case it's going to be different, the container, because that's the name of the plugin. But I put the shadows in there, and this is the the controller again, for the actually margin, uh, to move it up. Um, this is for the bottom part of that square. So let me show you. Let me easier to do it in the visual way. So I've got the bottom part. This is it. Which what I've done is basically change the margin and put a -52. So instead of being down here, it's been moved up. Okay. This is the control. These are the controls, and all I'm doing here is positioning it. Now don't forget that this is part of the control area. So it was up here. The controls will be somewhere up there. So I'm moving it down to put it over there. Um, if I don't have it like that, look what happens. It's up there. So I need to move it down. So what was it? Margin. Was it the margin? It wasn't. It was a position. Position relative 40. That should do the trick. There you go. And the last thing that I have is the Nivo, the main controller, and I'm putting the shadow color, the shadow, and I can control. Um, let me change to a red shadow, for example. Okay, so that's all I did, and I can make things really bad. So that's what I did, and with this tool, it's a great tool to learn CSS because you can see the result. And in my case, in terms of my themes, whatever I'm doing, I copy this, whatever CSS settings I create with this plugin, and copy it in my styles file to make it permanent. Um, this also has a responsive use for you to see how everything is going to work. Um, so it's nice. Let me know if you want me to install this somewhere on the internet so you can play with it. I'm telling you, this is how I learned about media queries because when you do something, by default it's for all devices, but you can go ahead and choose a device, and it's going to start doing things in media queries. And once you see the code, it's pretty simple. It's very easy for almost anyone to learn how to do things. Um, what else the last thing I'm gonna show you in terms of media queries go. If you go to the preferences, you can set your um, the media for each screen, the min and max levels. So and you can create as many media queries as you want. Alright, so that's it for sliders from my experiences. Um, at a bare minimum, at this point, they have to be responsive. If they're not responsive, use media queries to get rid of them in the responsive use. They need to have text. They need to have some sort of a URL link. Um, Otherwise, they're not very useful. Um, the other big problem that you have is how you're gonna put them in your template. Um, you're gonna do something that Artisteer did with 4.2, have a separate section for the slider, um, um, and input the sliders like that, or just like old times, you're gonna have the constant and have them manually edit the template to put it in there or in a page. But uh, you know best when it comes to that. So you need to worry about that as well. Besides creating the Nivo slider, how it's going to be embedded into the template? Is it to be automated? Uh, is JS templates going to have a section for that, or everything has to be manual? Alright, I'll talk to you soon. The game already started. It's 8 minutes 00.